Welcome to Answers Unleashed, a talk show to help you reshape your brain with science and faith to find the answers in front of you. I am Olympia LePoint, and I am excited that you are with me here again today. Well, congratulate yourself. You are here, and you're about to find out some key information about how your brain works and how you can actually find answers in your life. Now, if you tune in to us regularly every single week, you know we have great guests on this show. We talk about all sorts of things that deal with the brain. We have newest Einsteins, who I call are the brilliant innovators who have learned to be able to use their brain power in ways that transform people's lives. We take questions from callers and we answer them on air, as well as I give us brain tips that we're able to use every single week in every episode so you can take something with you home. Try it out and see how it answers questions in your own life. All right, today we are going to look at not only your brain, but, are you ready? Drum roll. Igniting your intuition. Explained through science. Igniting your intuition. Explained by science. Now, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I want you to just be honest with yourself. Be honest when you listen to these questions. React with your gut instinct. And I'm going to ask you 4 separate questions. Have you ever experienced deja vu? And deja vu is when you see something in advance and you thought it was a daydream, or you dreamt something, you thought it was a daydream, and then a couple of moments later or a couple of days later, it actually happens. And you're like, oh my God, I seem to have already experienced this. Maybe you saw it before and were surprised that it happened the way that you envisioned it. Have you ever experienced that? Or have you ever heard a powerful voice inside of your ear and you thought that maybe you should follow it? Like, for example, if you were driving and you said, make a right turn here, turn right here, but that wasn't on your path and you went that way and you, let's say, avoided an accident. Have you ever had a gut feeling that made your stomach turn? For example, ladies, have you ever gone on a date with somebody and felt it just didn't feel right? It just didn't have a gut feeling, or something that someone said just made your stomach turn or felt uncomfortable, and then later on you found out that the guy was not a good guy for you. Maybe he was already in a relationship, or maybe he wasn't telling the truth about something. Have you ever experienced that? Or have you ever experienced that with anyone? This is the next question for you. Has information popped into your head and you don't know where it's come from, and you don't know why you know certain details, but you just seem to know, and then that person, place, or thing actually came out to be true? For example, have you ever looked at someone and knew that if they were ill, you knew that they were going to be okay, even though they didn't know it themselves? If you have ever experienced any of these situations, you are experiencing your natural abilities from what I call your tria brain. And if you listen to our episode 1, we talk about the tria brain, and it is the natural part of the brain that is always inside of us. It is the left, right, and center connection points that unite a powerful energy inside of you. And if you follow me, you know that I write on the Huffington Post. And in the Huffington Post, I wrote an article about the tria brain and our show Answers Unleashed. And in this article, I describe what that power is. It actually deals with Einstein's theory of relativity. Our tria brain, what we have inside of our head, gives us a unique ability that actually answers questions and gives us the direction. This E equals MC squared is what I'm talking about. We always see it on chalkboards. Every time everyone talks about Einstein, we see this theory of relativity, and the tria brain uses it. It's how energy is applied in the brain. Now, energy is always transforms, and it always is. If you can recognize, have you ever seen like smoke go in the air, or even seeing like a hurricane in the ocean about to touch land, it always has this circular effect. Well, this energy also has this circular effect, and it's the energy that connects our brain together. It's the energy that connects the brain to the body, and it's the energy that connects us to the outside world. Our brains receive and transmit energy to itself and to the body and to the outside worlds in ways that we are just now trying to scientifically understand. We have all experienced this before. And the way it transmits its energy to you specifically is to guide you through what we call your intuition. Your intuition. All right. Now, the best way for me to break this down to you is through a nice story. And I love telling stories. And I want you to imagine this. Suppose you were driving on a road and you come to this crossroad where you have an intersection and there's like 1, 2, 3 different ways to go. Now, you're trying to get to a certain location and you need to get there on time. And you're forced with a decision which road to take. One road will give you the pathway to your intended destination, and the others will lead you somewhere farther than where you needed to go. But you don't know which one to take. So what do you naturally do? In that moment in time, honestly, what would you do? All right. So that moment in time, most of us at this moment and juncture in our life have smartphones or road maps. Would you take out a road map? Would you take out that GPS or smartphone to tell you which road to take? Chances are you would. Chances are you'd take out that map, you'd take out that GPS, that ground positioning system that will allow you to be able to know where you are. But this GPS is really handy, isn't it? It typically, on our smartphones, it gives us the way to guide us out of traffic. It shows us how to avoid delays. And then we would take this GPS in many places. So imagine you in this car, after looking at your GPS, you look up and you look for the sign. So you're looking at this GPS from your phone that tells you the direction to go. Then obviously you look up from the phone, you look at the signs to determine which sign is the one that corresponds with the GPS directions in which you've been given. So you look up at the road to see the sign. Now, if it's nighttime, you may not see any signs. You may have to only go with the GPS itself. But you check the GPS and then you check the signs. Then you go down the road that gives you the best, fastest, safest way to where it is that you need to go. And you get there to your destination on time. Well, I have a news flash for you. Your GPS in life is your intuition, and it comes from your tria brain. Your GPS in your life is your intuition, and it comes from your tria brain. Now, your brain, when it's connected fully, it forms the tria brain. The left side connects with the right side through the center portion, which I call the faith sector. And if you want to find out a little bit more about this, you're welcome to go to answersunleashed.com to find that out. But this faith sector combines the left side and the right side of the brain together and forms this tria brain. Now, this tria brain has that center faith sector that is able to determine the past, the present, and the future all in one shot because it's not constricted by time. This is the one part of your brain, the connections, that is not constrained by understanding the concept of time. And inside of it, there is this part that allows you to tap into information from this past and from this present and from your future that gives you how to drive in real life. We have this exact same driving scenario in our daily lives when it comes to succeeding in our own individual missions. In life, we experience things on a daily basis. We have all done this part called life. We've lived every single day, and we sometimes have not known what to do. We are confronted with a decision. Which road are we going to take? And the decision may be, do you marry him or her? Do you take a class? Do you actually go through with the surgery? Do you go back to school? Do you take a job offer? Do you live in a certain area? Do you move? Do you buy that car, or do you save your money? Do you adopt a child, or do you choose to physically have a child? Do you join an organization? These are all decisions that we have in our life that sometimes we don't know the answer to. And part of it is your intuition is going to tell you what is best for you. Your choice will either get you to your goal or take you farther from it. Your choice will either take you closer to your goal, or it will take you farther from it and even give you delays in the process of it. Now, here's an example. You may join an organization, but that organization requires so much time of you that it distracts you from your first book and delays you from being that best-selling author, which allows you to get out there and do all the things that you want to do and become financially free. So if you stay in the organization or go in the organization, you may not have that time to really do what it is that you've intended to do. So like the GPS, you check in with yourself. The intuition allows you to check in with yourself to know how far or how delayed or how safe you are on a certain path. And it tells you which path to take. And so there's been so many times, and I must reiterate this here. There's so many times that people do not listen to themselves. And I have been guilty of that myself. I have had a certain gut instinct to do something. I have had a certain not a good feeling, or I've seen something happen in advance and then I haven't listened to it. I haven't listened to that gut feeling. And then I go through with it anyway, using a rational, the left part of the brain. And I go through it anyway. And then something happens that I don't want to happen. And then I always look back and say, oh, if I would have just listened to my intuition in the first place. Has this happened to you? I know it's happened to me. Has it happened to you? Often people think intuition is only for, that's just a woman's type of thing, and that's just a gut instinct, and only certain people have it. No. Everyone on the face of the planet has this intuition inside of them that when it opens up, it unleashes things that gives you the direction that you are to go in life. There's so many things that we wanted to do in our life and accomplish. And we have that set goal. And the gift that we've been given inside of ourselves is this intuition, because it allows us to intuitively know the path that will take us there. But we so often have been taught not to embrace and develop this part of our brain that allows us to succeed. So, you have a natural GPS that is built inside of you, and it's built inside of the faith sector of the brain, and it has several different modes that you can select to tell you the right direction for you, not for anyone else, but for you. Now, I know what you're wondering. I know what you're wondering. You're wondering, what are these modes? How do I access my own intuition? I know it comes sometimes, but how do I make it come on all the time? Well, you get intuitive direction. And there's two different types of people. There's people who follow it and the people who don't. After receiving this intuitive direction from your tree brain, you will look up and see the sign in real life that confirms the knowledge that you have been guided for. Like, I'm going to go into the example shortly, but But if I just want you to make a certain note, if we use this storyline of driving down this pathway and you don't know the direction to go, sometimes it's nighttime and you can't see a sign and you have to only rely on your GPS. Sometimes there are no signs in life and you have to completely trust this part of you that allows you to go in the direction that's going to take you there safely. As a result, when you listen to this, you always go through where you need to go and intended to go safely. And it's always the most efficient route. And that brings us to the science behind this concept. E equals mc squared represents something big. E is energy, is how energy moves, and it's always through like a circular type of effect. M is mass, the mass of an object that we look at in this. Everything on Earth has mass to one degree or another, even atoms. And then we have c, which is c squared, which represents the speed of light. Now, the fastest point between 2 points is a straight line. And the only energy that travels in a straight line is the speed of light. When our brains light with brain fire, it connects neurons. This is the light that happens within our brain. But if it doesn't light, it doesn't create energy. So this light corresponds, this E equals mc squared. There's a relationship there. The fastest way between 2 points, your destination that you need to go, is a straight line, and the only type of energy that travels in that way is a straight light. But we're faced here on Earth. We can't move from point A to point B because we have physical things blocking us, literally. If we look at basic situations, if you were trying to get from Los Angeles to Simi Valley, or even from New York to Los Angeles, we will have to go through channels to get there. We can't get there through mountains. There's things that blocks us. If you're flying on a plane, there's snowstorms that delay and reroute things. There's people in certain situations that block you from different opportunities. You have restrictions in technology. Sometimes, even if we look at technology, sometimes technology can be delayed. How many times have you sent an email out and it didn't get to somebody until 5 minutes later? Nothing ever on earth is direct. If you go through Skyping people or communicating with people online through video, sometimes there is a delay. You've all noticed that. You can be sitting next to somebody and have a video phone on, and there is a delay in their actions, and nothing travels in a straight line. No energy gets you from point A to point B without any delay, exception to the energy of light. Even the nerves in our bodies sometimes can be tangled up because of pain and because of things that block it, inflammation. Nothing on earth is a straight line. So it translates itself into energy. This light connects with mass, whatever is blocking it or whatever is in the way, and then it forms what we call energy. And this energy is here to guide you through your experiences here in this universe and here on Earth through the third dimension. Now, this energy translates itself to your intuition in 4 different ways, according to an author I love reading, Doreen Virtue. And your intuition comes to you like this. It comes to you in a vision. Sometimes seeing your future or a current situation with information that you don't know yet. Or you may see the past, present, or current future events through a vision, that deja vu, that thought where you kind of saw it already happen. Have you ever looked at a glass and knew it was going to fall off the table because it was too close to the edge and pow, it fell down? Hearing. Sometimes you hear a voice inside of you that's a still, calm voice that tells you more information that is present than what is currently present, I should say. You have a gut feeling. There's a reaction in your abdomen that gives you information about certain situations. Or there is knowledge. The fourth is knowledge. Sometimes you will know something out of the blue when, like, for example, if someone calls you and you kind of just knew that they were going to call. You had a thought about them and then a couple seconds later they called. Well, this is your faith sector in your tree brain, and this is when all segments of your brain are connecting together to guide you in how to operate here in this world. Now, there are ways you can actually build up these signals in you and understand what they are. And the last thing we're going to talk about is, how do you build up your own GPS inside of you? Now, like abs, abdominal muscles, everyone alive has them. But some people's abs are flat and toned and strong, allowing them to pick up anything they desire. But some other people's abs are not necessarily flat and they protrude, and it doesn't support them in their daily movement, and they have pain. Well, our GPS, our intuition, is like that. Everyone has it, but it depends on you exercising it so it actually supports every type of movement that you have here on this earth. So there are some steps to building your intuition back up. And so if you are driving at nighttime and you need to find the road to take, and I want you to imagine yourself, you can't see any kind of signs, and it's nighttime. What do you do? So here's 3 questions for you. If you can't see anything, what do you do? There's 4 different things. What would you choose first to do? Would you choose to turn on the lights if you're driving at nighttime and didn't know where to go, or turn on your bright lights? Would you turn off the radio? Would you brake? Or lastly, would you stop and pull over to the side of the road and focus on where you are? Well, depending on your answers, the way in which you understand information. If you decided to turn the lights on, you have what we call a vision. You see things in advance. If you turn the radio off, you listen, and that's how you get your information. If you chose to answer that you'd brake, that means that you have gut feelings that you pay attention to. And then lastly, if you chose to pull over to the side of the road, that means that you seem to know things sometimes without completely understanding why. So in order to build your intuition first, you have to know which type you operate in first, and that hopefully that gives you description. And the next, you have to actually set your intention. Decide what you want to do in the next 6 months, 12 months, and 5 years. There's no way for you to be able to turn on your intuition if you don't know where you're going. So once you actually turn on your intuition, you have to write down exactly what it is that you see in your life happening. And then the second thing is, once you do that, you have to decide that you will go with the flow that is set out for you. There's a quote that Einstein says, "God does not roll dice." And he further explained that there are 2 groups of people who think there is no order to the world, and people who know that there is a God working on their behalf. Who are you? You have to decide which person that you are. And once you do decide, and I'm going to share this with you in the last minute that we have, you can turn on your vision by closing your eyes, imagining yourself in a certain position, and pick out all the details you have and you see. But most importantly, you want to write it down and think about this vision every single time that you wake up. If your main way of getting information is by listening, choose to listen to yourself. What is the first calm voice that you hear that comes to you? That's what you should do. And I want you to note, the second voice that always follows is always fear, and it's always a voice that gives you agitation. Go with the first voice that is peaceful. That always tells you what to do, and you want to write down your experiences daily from this also. Your gut feelings. Touch things. Be in new environments. And literally feel the way that you feel inside of your stomach. If something doesn't feel right, leave. Get out of the situation. Move. Change the energy. Don't stay there. When you honor the way that you feel, you'll find the pathway that's designed for you. And lastly, if you know things, Simply walk outside often. Look at details. Watch people. Notice the patterns that you see, and notice how the patterns seem to have repeated themselves in other things in which you've seen before. And then say out loud to yourself what you notice. You also want to write down these things as they are confirmed to you. Each time when you write things down and you say it out loud, you're actually looking at the sign. So, if I can leave you with this, your intuition is your interior GPS. Know that you have it inside of you, and know that when you use it, you'll always get to where you need to go safely and with an enjoyable time. For more tips like this, visit us on AnswersUnleashed.com. Thank you for tuning in again to us every single Wednesday on kpcradio.com. And find us, ask us questions on 888-88-ANSWERS. And again, I am Olympia LePoint here with you on Answers Unleashed, a talk show to help you reshape your brain with science and faith to find the answers in front of you. And I look forward to having you with us next time. I'm Olympia LePoint. See you later.